Hi, my name is Daniel Ha, and I made a computer called Green. It's supposed to be a nature-friendly computer, and I'll show it to you. This is the outside of my outer part of my computer. I drew a flower. There's flowers, and there's pots to represent nature-friendly. And here's CD and DVD. And here's the on button and the logo and the green. And I'll show the inside. On the top right, there's the power supply, which supplies energy for the whole computer. And right underneath that is the fan, which circulates the air inside the computer to prevent it from overheating. And on the left, there's the CD/DVD drive and the hard drive. There's the 4-line power cables connected to the CD/DVD drive, and the 5-line power cables connected to the hard drive. And connected to those, you can see the IDE cables that connects the CD/DVD drive, hard drive, and to the motherboard. Now beneath all that, I have the motherboard that has 2 power cables connected to it from the power supply, and there's the PCI card, which acts as a sound card, and right underneath that is the AGP card, which is basically the graphic card of the computer. Now under those, on the right side, I have the little fan on top of the processor, and on the left I have 2 RAM cards, and the RAM cards act as memories for the computer. Now on the back side of the computer, you can see the power supply on the top, the back part of the fan right beneath it, and I have the ports that connects to the AGP card on the inside. And on the bottom right side, there's the internet port, 2 USB port, microphone jack, audio out jack, HDMI port, and the port for mouse and keyboard. Okay, so I'll explain how a computer is first turned on. You first press the power switch, and it signals the power supply to turn on, which then sends energy to the whole computer. And then the fan starts working, so the air is circulating inside the computer. And then the BIOS goes to work inside the RAM of the motherboard. BIOS is basically what gives first instructions to CPU's first instructions to the computer, and it performs the power on self-test. And then the bootstrap loader loads the computer's operating system, so basically that's what manipulates the processor, and then the computer goes to work. Now, what happens when you download online photos from the internet? Well, first of all, the data that you want on a web browser travels like this. When you enter a web address such as Google, the information is sent through the routers in the form of digital signal. This signal is sent to the original ISP, next to the national ISP, then to another national ISP through the internet backbone, then to the original city where the server is located. The main server then receives the data through the digital signal and sends the data that you want back to your computer. Now that's how the online photo will travel to your computer, and here's the process of how it saves onto your computer. The process mostly takes place in the motherboard. Firstly, the data for the photo comes through the network, and the processor commands it to save the file onto the RAM card. That's when the monitor will show you the percentage and/or bar to show you how much the file has been downloaded. However, the whole photo isn't downloaded at once. The photo is downloaded into bits and pieces or packages, and those pieces are commanded by the processor to be stored into hard drives one at a time. This is because the RAM has a limited amount of space, usually 2 or 4 gigabytes, and the RAM doesn't have the ability to store files. When the computer shuts down, any file that might have been in the RAM will disappear,